Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. So lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. And a very, very different live stream tonight, and on a very, very important topic. Tonight we'll be talking about the scourge of gender-based violence in South Africa, which is the rape capital of the world. Months ago, Ramaphosa promised to tackle GBV, or gender-based violence, but like all his other promises, this has come to naught. We will also be looking at the abuse of children, who often have no voice at all. My guest is Pixie Pink, who with her husband goes into bat for abused women and children. Just by way of introduction, let me play you a short video.
Hi guys, Pixie Pink, victim advocate and activist against women and child abuse here. People often ask me what I do because my title sure sounds impressive. Well, by the end of my explanation, they understand that this is just a title for someone who really believes in children and has an unwavering passion for the rights of the most vulnerable and voiceless. If you for 1 second think that women have no voice, try being a child who lives in squalor, hardly eats, never baths, scratching the lice in their hair, with fleas in their beds, if they are lucky enough to have beds, having their little bodies touched and probed by different men. Try being a little person who is severely abused and neglected, and you do not have the vocabulary to ask for help. You have no idea where to turn to, so you adapt, and the abnormal becomes your normal.
Okay, I think you can see what the message is there. Let me get Pixie on so we can start the conversation. Okay, here we go. Hi, Pixie. Hi, Pixie. Hi, Pixie. Can you hear me?
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. Excellent. Now,
That's
I've given a little bit of an intro to the subject we're going to be talking about tonight. But before we get into the discussion on gender-based violence and child abuse and all those sort of terrible things that happen, and in particular in South Africa, what triggered your passion in this area?
Scott, in the 1990s, I was involved in a terrible, horrific incident where two children were abducted and the one child of 15 was shot by a perpetrator, and the little girl of 13 was severely raped and assaulted. So I was in the police at that stage, and they called me in to assist the girl. And I then realized that children really have no voice, and they trust anyone. So these children trusted someone that offered them a lift, and subsequently it went horribly wrong. So, it's the realization that children trust almost anyone, because we teach our children, adults will help you. There's no stranger danger. In those days, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. So, that really started the whole thing.
Wow. Now, South Africa obviously has a huge issue when it comes to crime. And I guess you come across that a lot. Now, tell me about your early days in the police service before you actually concentrated on this. What got you into that area?
I was at the detective branch, and we had weekends and nights when we were on duty. So they would call us whenever there was a rape incident, and also gender-based violence. So I then moved over to the crime prevention unit, and thereafter I was spokesperson for the police at the station. So in my line of work, I always, had to assist women and children. And yes, I think that triggered everything, I saw women badly battered, and the system isn't always very user-friendly. Even now, it's not user-friendly. And women need help, and so do children. After all of these years, I decided to leave my top-paying job and to do this on a full-time basis.
Right. Now, carry on.
Gender-based violence is extremely high in this country. And drug abuse is one of and alcohol abuse, they really contribute to this. So, I decided, let's do this on a full-time basis, and let me see how many women and children I can help. So I started with women, and then all of a sudden I got all these requests for assistance where children were involved. So I've shifted slightly more towards children at this stage. I do help women. I do help men as well. Believe me when I say it's not only women.
Right.
And I also focus a lot on children, because they really don't have anywhere to go, and they don't have the vocabulary to say. And if you're 4 years old or 2 years old, you don't really know and have anywhere to go and say, listen, I'm being abused, please help me. So yes, that's how I got involved in all of this.
So I take it the only way you find out about these cases is through tip-offs, someone who lives next door or something like that.
Yes, a lot of family. I must tell you, I've got a lot of grandmothers that turn to me and ask me for assistance with their children, drug addict children. And then I've got a lot of tip-offs, neighbors and family members and friends of friends. I get a lot of cases, Scott. Some days I get over 400 reports on child abuse a day. a day, 400 emails, and I get as many WhatsApps. So about 60,000 people have my cell number. I do have 2 cell phones that I work from. So, yeah, the costs are quite huge. I phone a lot, I fight a lot. Yeah, so I keep all the systems in check, and I report and I investigate. Sometimes, well, most of the times I investigate. I go to the home and I go see for myself, because people are, sometimes I get a report, and when I get there, it's just poverty. And, you don't remove children when it's only poverty. We help with food parcels as well,
Right.
through other NPOs.
I guess the big question I have for you is, how the heck do you handle 400 cases a day?
It's very difficult, Scott. I sometimes work 20 hours a day. My husband always says he shares me with the whole of South Africa, and my phones never stop ringing. On Sundays, I take the day off. But I don't get to all the cases, Scott. And sometimes I give them advice, like, go to your nearest welfare. Please report this to the children's court. Please do this. Go and get a domestic violence order. It's difficult for me because, if I must fly to Port Elizabeth, for example, or to Durban or somewhere, the costs are very high. So I try to do everything from here. I'm based in Krugersdorp. So it's I've got a lot of cases, Rustenburg, Pretoria, Krugersdorp, Roodepoort, and Northwest is terrible. Brits, terrible. Well, all over the country. And it's difficult. It's difficult for me to get to everything.
Yeah. Well, 400 cases a day. Do you have a support team? Other people who help you?
I do. I do have someone in the office that helps me. I get inboxes as well. That's just emails and WhatsApps. So I do get inboxes as well, and we try to answer them as quickly as possible. But I must say, it's only one person. I've got a very small organization. We launched about a year and a half ago. We've been there for 2 years with the Women Empowerment Group.
Right.
And from there, it escalated. So I've got someone in the office, but my husband and myself do the investigation. So, yeah, that takes a whole day to do the investigation. If I see I need to rescue the children, I call the police, I call the welfare, I do the thing in the children's court. So, yeah, it keeps me busy. I'm really, really busy with this.
I bet you are. Now, do you get good cooperation from the police service?
Scott, I do, so, because I've still got some connections.
Right.
And I also try and take hands with, especially the the Child Protection Unit. I go in and I always ask them let's take hands. I'm not trying to do your work, and I'll make it clear to people, I'm not the welfare, I'm not a policeman. I work with welfare, police, and the justice system. So I try and build my bridges. So I've got a network of people. I know who to call in Rustenburg. I know who to call in Pretoria. And because they've worked with me in the past, they know I won't phone them for a child who's got a runny nose. They know when I call on them because I need their help.
Right.
And then I've got a good network with welfare, certain welfare organizations. I must, and I'm going to say this, I don't have a good relationship with the Department of Social Development. That is the welfare on the government side. So I stick to the CMR, I stick to your local welfare organizations where I've got a good relationship. And I've also got a good relationship with the magistrates at the children's courts, because they also know when I bring something to court, I've really got a reason to bring this to court. So, but I do call them out, Scott. I do call them out.
Yeah.
I had an incident the other day where I tried for more than 2.5 hours to get the police to a woman whose boyfriend poured petrol over her.
Oh, no.
And he was going to set her alight. Now, a woman in that situation can't Google, Scott. She can't, if this number doesn't work, she can't Google for the next available number. She's running for her life. She was running down the road. And I was phoning the police constantly, and they either didn't answer. When I got through to the station, they didn't know where the address was. I know they've got GPS. We don't work with the maps anymore, even in South Africa. I eventually got hold of the station commander who assisted me. But I've got certain numbers that the ordinary woman don't have. So if she had to Google and she didn't have those numbers, I'm sure you would have set her alight.
Oh, wow.
So I also call them out. I call them out a lot.
Yeah.
And some of them don't really like me, but I don't care. It's about the system. And they are paid to do a job, and we must do the job.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be in that position, then do something else.
Right. Now, do you feel that we're talking about the systems here, do you feel that the systems have gone into a state of collapse since 1994?
Oh, absolutely. 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 When the lockdown was announced in March, the Department of Social Development and the government gave a whole list of numbers. I'm now talking only about this lockdown. And they said if there's any gender-based violence, because remember, just before lockdown, we had all of these horrific cases reported. And they gave us the numbers, and I called those numbers throughout lockdown, and no one even answered.
Wow.
So since 1994, I can definitely, and I can assure you, because I've worked with this, some systems do not work. You report a case, the police don't give you feedback. I must call the charge office commander when he's got a woman sitting in front of him that can't speak a word of English. He can't speak a word of Afrikaans. So, there's this constant fighting. I'm always fighting. And although the laws have been made stricter, and we've got good laws, but it's not always enforced. Domestic violence is just domestic violence. And a children's case is just a children's case. I mean, your ordinary policeman on station level, they don't know the Children's Act at all. So there's a lot of education that must be done. And you don't get any sympathy, Scott. I've got women that go to court and they apply for a domestic violence protection order, and she's given a piece of paper and told to complete it. She's standing there all battered and bruised, and nobody gives her any assistance. You're just a number in the system. And that's a thing that must change. And before 1994, I was also in the police before 1994, it was taken more seriously.
Yeah.
Although the domestic violence laws only came in after 1994, it's since been watered down. It used to be handled by the station, then it was sent to the magistrates' court, and now women battle. And they must give in proof. I mean, she stands there, blue eyes, open lip, broken arm, and she must still give proof. And sometimes she's still told, no, this is not enough proof to get the protection order. So it's a lot of education, and nobody really gets help. And I see it every day. I must sometimes phone the police because I know what they must do, Scott. So
Yeah.
I phone them when they're with the police, and I say, listen, this is what you need to do. Please do X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to call you back, and I'm going to ask you if you've done that. And then they only help the women. But what if she doesn't have my cell phone number?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Now, I guess one of the things that really sticks out like a shag on a rock to me is that you've got the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, saying that, look, we have to target gender-based violence, and we're going to make this a priority. And you're telling me that the Department of Social Development do nothing. And this is the area which is supposed to be supporting GBV. There seems to be a total lack of humanity in this ANC government, doesn't there?
Oh, definitely. It's easy for the president to talk on TV. And when this happens, Scott, when there's a big case, when the media latched onto something extremely horrific, then everybody jumps on the bandwagon, and it's domestic violence, domestic gender-based violence, and we must curb this, and we'll lock everyone up and no bail. And then the opposite happens. So they really only talk about this when there's a horrific case, like the mom who was pregnant and she was killed and then hanged. And that's only when they talk about it. And if you try and phone social development, you don't get any assistance. I mean, they must also look after the elderly. Scott, I promise you can phone any number they supply, and you don't get through to them. Or if you do, they don't react. And there's a total lack of sympathy. I feel the president only gets out, and they're on TV with the Minister of Police. And, we won't give them bail. I've got a dad that assaulted a 4-month-old baby, and he's out on bail. This child is fighting for his life, but the father doesn't have a fixed address, he doesn't have fixed work, and they gave him bail.
Oh, wow.
The child is fighting for his life in hospital. So where does this come in, Scott? Where does it filter through to that on station level? And the detectives who must oppose bail, who must go to court, who must fight for the rights of the victims, who's fighting for the rights. It's all good and well that Cyril and Becky Taylor and everybody, they're on TV and they visit the family. That's after the fact that someone has been killed. We had a story in Cape Town where a woman applied for a protection order at the police station, and she was told to go home. She must come back in 3 days. She was killed.
Oh, gosh.
She was killed. And if they gave her that protection order, maybe her child was also killed, Scott.
Oh, no.
So if she was helped and given that protection order, who knows, it might have saved her life.
Yeah.
So it's all good and well for them to get onto TV and no bail and this and that. It's a different story when you work with these cases every day.
Yeah.
I don't know if they haven't informed their station, the members on station level, and it's horrific. I know it's not the police's fault when someone gets bail, because that's the justice system. However, police don't turn up at court for a bail hearing. They don't oppose bail. They don't have all the facts. I mean, this was splashed all over Facebook. It went viral. He assaulted this 4-month-old baby. He's got a broken femur. He's got 6 broken ribs. His ear was nearly torn off. He's got black and blue bruises all over his little face. So he's fighting for his life in Steve Biko. The father was was given bail yesterday.
That's crazy.
So where's the no bail?
Yeah. Look, it's all BS when it comes to this ANC government. I have to say to you, it must be really emotionally draining for you doing the sort of work you do. Just talking to you now, you can see how it's painful for you to talk about it. How do you stay positive?
You know, Scott, I've got a wonderful support structure. On my groups, I have wonderful admins, and then I've got my husband. Now we're newlyweds. We've been married for 2 years now,
Oh,
and
congratulations.
I've got my husband. Thanks. I've got my husband sharing my passion, and that means a lot.
Yeah.
And I've got my 30-year-old son who's also, they're my soundboards. But it does get to me, Scott. I'm only human. And we rescued a little boy the other day who was dismally failed by welfare. This child was severely assaulted by his mother's boyfriend, but it wasn't the first time. He's been assaulted for the past 6 years.
Oh, no.
Now, when I found the little boy, he had the most terrible, terrible injuries. And he was hit over the head with a pipe numerous times since he was 6 years old. He's 11 today. So we rescued him and his sister. And the boyfriend is still on the run. I've given out a reward of 2,000 Rand for his arrest because, you know what, the police in that precinct haven't even started looking for him until about 3 weeks ago. And I've already been on his case since the 9th of September when I opened the case. And I also opened a case against his mother. I opened criminal cases against the mother, and she will be arrested. This gets to me. Sometimes I tell the story, sometimes we leave, and we rescued 4 children, and welfare took them away, and they were screaming and crying, and I cry all the way home. It's never nice to do that. It's devastating for me sometimes. But when the police give me feedback and they say, you know what, 2 of the girls were raped, and we've now put them in a place of safety, that gives me, and I get voice notes and I get video calls from the children just to say, Tannie Pixie, we love you. Tannie Pixie, ek is lief vir jou. And that makes it all worthwhile, Scott. So it is emotional. We are extremely tired. We had a very rough 2-3 years. So we are going on leave in December, and we're going to the Karoo. There where I can just put my phone off, and we need to just, switch
time.
off. Yeah, I need that because this is emotional. I'll lie if I say this is never emotional for me.
Wow. Now, have you heard of Go Purple?
I have heard of Go Purple. Yes, the Go Purple Foundation.
Yeah.
Yes,
Have you had any
I do.
contact with Zanari?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'm going to ask
Scott.
Marlena to put you in touch with Zanari because, she is doing very similar work to yourself. I actually had her.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually had her on a live stream months ago now, I guess. But yeah, so look, Marlena, if we can put Pixie in touch with Zanari, and it's really interesting. I mean, this is total coincidence, but you have a quite unique hairstyle, and I take it sometimes
yes.
you have it pink. Do you have it pink?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, now
Yes.
this is why it's so unusual, because Anari has her hair purple.
Oh, okay. For the Purple Foundation,
Yeah, Go
I
Purple.
take it. Yes.
Yeah. Now we were just talking now about when you go and rescue a child from a house or something like that. That must be a really dangerous situation, because some of these people, I guess, are filled with drugs. And tell us a couple of your experiences with going to try and save a child.
Yeah, that's one thing, Scott. I try and do my homework before I get to the house, but we never know what we walk into. So I always ask them if I can come in, but most of them are on full-on drugs. I've had an incident the other day where we rescued 3 little ones, boy of 3, girl of 6, and a girl of 9. And when we got there, the parents were high as kites. And they always say, no, we're not on drugs, we're not on drugs. And I walk around with drug tests. So I asked them if I can do drug tests, which I did, and they both tested positive for meth. But I'm like a narcotics dog. I can smell the narcotics because,
right.
I can really smell it on them, on their breath.
Yeah.
So I know the signs what to look for. But as soon as I've tested them, they go aggressive. They either go aggressive or they start pleading. And I won't leave the children there if they are on any narcotics. If they're on heroin, meth, sorry, I phone the authorities, we remove the children. So we removed the children, and on Tuesday this week, the police sent me a message that both girls and I, sometimes children say small things in the hope that you listen.
Yeah.
That you listen to what they're saying. So this little girl of 6 had a ring on her ring finger. And while we sat waiting for welfare in the child protection unit, I asked her, oh, you've got a beautiful little ring. And she said, yeah, I'm married to my daddy. And I thought, okay. No. Okay. So this, the sirens go off.
Yeah.
And when we took them away and we put them in the vehicle, she said, thank goodness, die ooms kan nie meer daarby kom nie, which says the uncles can't get to me anymore.
Yeah.
So on Tuesday, the police confirmed that both girls were raped.
Wow.
She's 6 years old. The other one is 9 years old.
Wow.
So, this makes it, it shows me that we're doing the right thing. And now the children can start healing because the parents will face criminal charges. I make sure the criminal charges are opened, and I also follow up on the cases. I don't leave it. So, but this is the thing that happens. And there's not a child that we rescue, that the parents aren't on heroin or meth or maybe both. So they take this cocktail and they just go off the wall. We rescued 6 children as well in that area. Mother and father positive for meth. There's 6 children. The 2 eldest boys, 10 and 11, both on Dacha.
Wow.
Both children on Dacha. The 5-month-old baby had sores on her body, and you must see the houses inside. It's not poverty, Scott. It's definitely not poverty. It's drugs.
Yeah.
And they send the children out to beg.
Oh, no.
And they sometimes go with the children. They really succeed in begging when they've got a baby. When mom's got a baby in her arms and she's standing there on the corner, and it's month end, and she makes about 4,000 or 5,000 rand because everybody feels sorry for this child.
Yeah.
So we removed all 6 of them. Then we had 2 heroin babies the week before last. The one we rescued in Boksburg. I was phoned by a family member and said the mother had the baby. The baby had withdrawals. I went out, phoned the colonel, the commander of the child protection unit. We searched for the baby, found the baby, and she was in full withdrawals. So we had to rush with this little baby. I've got photos of me holding the baby in the hospital. So we took her back to hospital and they immediately started treatment. And 2 days later, I found another heroin baby. She was in full-blown withdrawals, and We also saved her. She's in foster care with her aunt, and she's safe. We applied for child protection orders in the children's court against the parents. And yeah, that's what we do, Scott. We close to stay in our car. So we get in the car at 7 o'clock in the morning and we get home 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And we prioritize the cases. I've got a case where we must remove 10 children next week.
Wow.
In one single family.
Now let's
10
talk.
children.
Let's talk through that process. Okay, so you know that there are 10 children that have got to be taken away from the parents. What is the process you go through? From the time you arrive there.
I first make contact with the child protection unit and the welfare before we go, because we must first of all be sure. I've already done my homework and my investigation. We actually went looking for them 2 weeks ago, and a neighbor told her that I'm going to put welfare on you, and she took some of the children and she moved them. So that's what they do. But now they're back and they don't know that I know they are back. So I've already spoken to Child Protection Unit and Welfare. And I've done my homework. So now we'll go in maybe 7 o'clock in the morning because the children are all sexually exploited.
Oh, no.
So she uses the children to do favors, sexual favors. Some are 3 years old. She's got twins, 3 years old. And yeah, they do sexual favors. You won't believe me, Scott, but they do.
Oh, no.
And she pumps them out. So I've already done my homework. Then we will move in about 7 o'clock in the morning and go into the house. I've got the welfare there and the police photographer, and we safeguard the children first, and then the police go in and they search the house and they take photos, because we must present all of this proof in court.
Right.
Even when we remove the children. So we must prove to the children's court that the removal was just and necessary. So that's the way we do it. So next week, this is a horrific story. It's just a mother with her. She's got 13 children. So 3 of them are adults already. And there's another sister in the family that sold a baby.
Oh,
none of the
gosh.
kids are registered with the Department of Home Affairs, so they actually don't exist. To the government, they don't even know about them.
Wow.
So, yeah, we also get welfare then to register the children, because they must be citizens of South Africa.
Yeah.
What people also do, these mothers do, is they have babies and then they meet parents who can't have babies. And as soon as she has the baby, she gives the baby to them. They give her money and they register the baby on their name.
Wow.
So, yeah, we're dealing with big things.
Wow. Now, I guess something that's important to note here. Are you there, Pixie? Sorry, guys, we just... welcome back. Okay. Now, I guess it's important to note here that gender-based violence and child abuse knows no color. This goes right across the racial divide. Isn't it dangerous going into the townships and saving children from that sort of environment?
Scott, I don't go into informal settlements at all. The one heroine baby I rescued from an informal settlement, but I do not go into them at all. They are not, I'm not going to risk my life, because if you take a baby from someone in there, I've worked in informal settlements during my police years, and I can promise you I won't get out alive. So that's where our friends in the Department of Social Development and other welfare organizations, they do the townships. They cover the townships for us.
Right.
It's also difficult because of the culture differences. Um, it's difficult for me to tell a Zulu man, please don't hit your wife.
Yeah.
A Zulu man won't take any advice from me. He won't even give me two thoughts. It's a culture thing. It's not a racial thing. It's a culture thing.
Yeah.
So I go into areas where it is extremely dangerous, and I do take backup. I sometimes get the assistance from security companies as well. So I mostly work in areas where I'm relatively sure that I'll get out alive.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
what that's saying to me is that probably most of the kids you save are white kids, and they're probably
Yes.
in squatter camps and things like that.
There are sometimes in squatter camps. Then they also stay in very low cost housing. They stay in Zozo huts in the back of people's property. They stay in dilapidated houses that they just move in. No electricity, no water, no nothing. But they are on drugs. They don't have to pay rent. They squat. Children don't go to school. I went to an area about a month ago where we found 1, 2, 3 children that actually they didn't have a fridge, and they ate food that they kept in a cupboard covered in maggots.
Oh no.
They had lice and fleas in their hair. They didn't have any furniture. They couldn't read or write. They never went to school, hardly went to school. Their beds, I took the mother and I showed her the fleas in the beds. The dogs had more food than the children.
Wow.
So, and I must tell you, Scott, most of the perpetrators are mothers.
That's shocking. That is
It's
absolutely
shocking.
shocking.
It's shocking. It is, and you know, that's another thing that the government never address this. The drug problems we've got in this country.
Yeah. Huge drug
Everywhere.
problem.
Huge. And I know I've looked at stats in the USA. Okay, that's 100 times bigger than South Africa, but even they've got this problem now. We've got heroin being sold for 30 Rand. We've got meth sold for 30 Rand up to 200 Rand. It depends on how much you buy. So we've got the mother and the father on the drugs, and they send their children to buy the drugs. And I've got a 14-year-old boy whose mom and dad are full-blown meth addicts, and now he's on meth as well. He's 14 years old. So the government, they're very big on certain things. They quite during lockdown, they clamped down on the cigarette trade. But during that time, they also never told us how many drug houses they busted.
Yeah.
We need the government to give attention to these drug houses. We need the police on station level, and I'm going to do this next year. I'm going to go to a station commander. I'm going to say, this is the drug houses that the community identified. I'm going to give you the addresses. We need an operation done by professionals. We need the dog unit. We need the flying squad. We need organized crime. And we must hit the drug houses. I walk into family houses where a 9-year-old buys the meth and the heroin for her parents. A 7-year-old does. And the police know all the houses. If it takes me and my husband an hour to identify 4 houses, how long can it take the police? They drive up and down. They
they're
get
on
all
the
the
take.
complaints. So Why don't they address the drug problem in this country? You know, I've never removed children
Yeah.
where alcohol was involved, but I have. Every house I walk into, it's meth and heroin.
I
So
can
we
answer
should
your
address,
question, Pixie.
yes.
The police who drive past these drug houses are getting a cut. That's why they don't do
Oh,
anything.
yes. Oh, yes. And that's a fact. That's not even me just taking a shot in the dark. That's a fact. That is a fact, a known fact. I even worked with a policeman a few months ago where he knew the drug lord's number, cell number, off by heart, and he dialed the drug kingpin because he wanted to buy a baby, and I was after the baby, looking for the baby. So I told him, I don't have his number. I wonder where we can get his number? And he said, no, I've got his number, don't worry. And he started dialing the number.
Wow.
Now, I don't even know my husband's number, and I've been married to him for more than 2 years.
Yeah.
How do you know the drug lord's cell phone number off by heart?
Well, obviously they're on the take. Now,
Thank you.
I have to say to you that one of the worst places, I believe, for drug abuse is in that beautiful, it used to be a beautiful suburb of Pretoria called Sunnyside, which I believe now is just run by the Nigerian drug lords. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
hard to
that's
track them down.
Lagos. Yeah, it's Lagos. Sunnyside is Lagos. Hillbrow is Abuja. And then you've got the Nigerians moving, and this is not a xenophobic. I'm not being xenophobic, I'm being real, and this is fact. They've moved into Pretoria. They've taken over Sunnyside, Daspoort, Danville, Pretoria West, Hermanstad, Mountain View. They've taken over Krugersdorp, areas like Krugersdorp West, Burgershoop. They've taken over even high-class areas like Ruimsig in Roodepoort. You know, that's an affluent area.
Yeah.
They've taken over, and they move into areas, and it's like this, and it's only Nigerians. And I must say, it's not only Nigerians. Their neighbors have also started kicking in on the drug trade, and also sexual exploitation. They're killing our children. They are killing our children. Child trafficking, sexual exploitation of girls. I took children away some time ago, 4 minors, and they all had genital herpes around their mouths because the mother, and the last 2 girls as well that were raped, the mother used them to pay for her drugs. I received a video the other day of about a 12-year-old child doing sexual favors. Her mother was sitting in the car with a Nigerian. The other Nigerian was standing outside, and she was giving him sexual favors, doing him sexual favors for her mother's narcotics. But the police turn a blind eye to this, and I know they get kickbacks. You see the police vans driving in there. If we don't address the drugs, and I always tell the people when I remove their children, and they say, I will do anything, and I will die for my children. I say, listen, go to your Nigerian drug lord and give him a big kiss, and tell him, say thank you that I took your children today. Go back and go give him a big kiss, because it's his fault and your fault because of the decisions that you've taken, that you've made. It's not your children's choice to live like this, but go give him a big fat kiss because I'm driving off with your kids. So if we don't address the drug problem, and it's getting worse and worse and more areas, then I can take all the children in South Africa. It won't stop. It will never stop.
Yeah. Now, look, I've got a couple of people here who've, Ray Firster says, at Loving Life, I can't take this. Please tell Pixie I am volunteering to help her in Durban any way I can with her guidance. Malina, I will send you my email and cell number to give to her. So,
Thank
Ray, if you just send me an email, I think you've got it, but it's homestays@gmail.com. And just, if one of the moderators can just put that in the side chat, and I will definitely put you in touch with Marlena, and she can put you in touch with Pixie. And Marlena said, I've sent Pixie Anna-Ree's contact number, and the same with Anna-Ree, so that you're
thank
both
you
now
so
in
much.
contact. Okay, so let's just continue with this whole thing. Now, what clearly is the family killer is drugs. It's the abuse of
Definitely.
drugs. Now, why do you think people are so, do you think it's because they've given up hope with life that they just now turn to drugs as their support?
You know what? It's difficult to say. A lot of people have lost their jobs. Now, it's not since lockdown. It's even before lockdown. It's the economy that we live in South Africa. It's a whole bunch of reasons. But you know what, Scott? I'll also get to houses where there's only poverty, and then we help and we assist with food. So
Right.
the drug, I think it's just an easy thing to get out. And you know, they get SASSA grants for the children, social grants for the children. So if they have 5 children, then they get about 1,200. Now during lockdown, it was more. It's easier to do nothing and to use and abuse the kids and use the drugs. I met a couple the other day. They've given up hope. They stay in the old unused station in Mountain View in Pretoria. They're both on heroin. I met them and they both had the heroin needles in the arms.
Oh,
Welfare took away 5 of their children. They really don't care. As long as they get their fix. I stood there and one mom brought her little son's bicycle and she sold it for 50 Rand to the Nigerian standing there.
oh.
And I don't know. It's the young. It's young adults. It's children, young adults, even older, 40, 45, 50-year-old adults on the drugs. It's not only even a young adult thing anymore. So if you ask them, they just say, oh, well, we started the drugs and we can't now. We love our children. If I ask them, where do you get your income from? No, we can't find work. So we use the SASSA money and then we beg. You know, begging has become a profession in this country. It's really a profession.
Yeah.
Other people do it on Facebook. They do it in inbox, or they take the child and they move to the street corners. I don't know what the reasons are. I just know it's out of control, Scott. It's out of control. And nobody listens, and the police don't help. We must really, instead of worrying about other things and sport and stuff like that, we must look at the social issues in this country, and it's getting worse. In townships, people use Nyope. And that's a whole mixture of antiretrovirals, and it's a mixture of Ritalin and rat poison, and everything.
Yeah.
It's awful stuff.
Oh.
And they sell it in the informal settlements for as little as 20 Rand. So your cell phone is stolen. Even though it's an expensive cell phone, if they can open their cell phone, they sell it for 20 Rand. I mean, we've got areas in Krugersdorp like Muldersdrift where they kill people for their cell phones and a TV. And they buy Nyope with it, with the money they get from selling the TV.
This is a whole world that people don't know about.
This is a whole world. You know, I get people on my page, on my advocate page, who ask me, is this in South Africa? And they say in South Africa. They say, is this a South African page? It is, people. This is what's happening. I think I'm just holding the mirror and showing people what the heck is going on outside. People don't know. They never realized what's going on?
Yeah. Well, you know what I find very disturbing is that, we talked about the Department of Social Development earlier. Marlena will confirm this. Twice in the last couple of months, we've had women who actually run old age homes for people, and they depend on the Department of Social Development for basically financial support. And they're supposed
Yes.
to get those payments every month or every 3 months or whatever it is. And these two women who contacted the Loving Life channel did so because they hadn't received their support, their financial support, and they were unable to feed the elderly people in the old age home. And they were absolutely desperate. And it's very interesting because in both cases, just a couple of days before they were going to go live, they pulled the pin because they were scared
Yeah.
of upsetting the Department of Social Development.
Yeah. I know of an incident, Scott, where I wanted to remove a 4-year-old little girl, and social development, they issue the licenses to welfare departments and welfare workers. So every year their licenses are renewed. And during lockdown, they didn't issue one license. So some of the welfare workers that I contacted to help me with this 4-year-old child told me, listen, I can't help you. We haven't received our license yet, so we're not allowed to act. We're not welfare workers at this stage. We can't go to court with our cases. We can't remove any children. We can't assist you to take the child to hospital. Remember, I can't take a child, Scott, and put a child in my car and drive the child to the hospital. I'm not allowed to do that. They can lock me up for that. So I need to depend on welfare to do this for me. I can't always call on the police. If there's no criminal case, if there's no drugs or anything, the police don't help me because they've got their mandate. So welfare couldn't help me because the Department of Social Development never approved their licenses, never issued their licenses. I spoke to a lady and I asked her, listen, what's going on there with social development? She's one of the seniors. And she said, well, everybody's booking off with the corona. People get to work, they start coughing. She says, okay, I'm not feeling well. They book off for 14 days quarantine. They get back to work for 3 days. They start coughing. Now, I think I've got the corona. I must go into quarantine. That's how they work, Scott. Anyone can try and phone their numbers, see if they answer. They do not answer.
No.
They don't answer. They don't assist. They are also, they must also attend to the elderly. It's not only children. They are also responsible for the elderly.
Yeah.
And they don't even help the elderly. They don't. I don't know why they even employ them. I don't know why they get a salary. I don't know why we have a Department of Social Development, because I don't think they exist anymore. I think they've just imploded. I don't think there's anything left. I really don't.
Now, who's the woman who runs the Department of Social Development? I've just forgotten her name.
Well, you've got all the different provinces. I know now with the children that I removed, wanted to remove, and needed to remove on the far west rand, the MEC of Social Development in Gauteng got involved with this now because I splashed this all over social media,
right?
Because in some areas they don't even have offices, Scott. So the church welfares, they've closed their doors because churches have run dry. The mines have closed up. So the only people left is the Department of Social Development. So I couldn't remove these children because we didn't really have a criminal case there. It was severe child neglect, which is also it's a criminal offense, but the police didn't want to get involved. They said, let's phone welfare. Well, they never got involved, Scott, until I went viral with this thing. And 1.5 million people saw the post. And then the MEC for Social Development in Gauteng said, okay, now we'll get involved and we'll send welfare there. I don't even know if they pitched. Who knows who they are? I don't even know. I don't care because I don't work with them. I can't even get hold of them on the phone. The welfare offices close on the smaller towns, in the smaller towns, because the mines close. The towns are in such a state of neglect.
Yeah.
All these small little towns where the mines used to be, Western area, Ventersdorp, Venterspoort, all of them are about non-existent. And the welfare just closed doors and said, okay, well, the churches don't have any people at church on Sundays. And they can't afford it. They also need funding, which they also don't get.
Yeah.
So this it's a vicious cycle. It's just vicious.
And you've got basically a broken department, which is that Department of Social Development. Now, the Zamas, I think, are the only people who work in the mines now, and they're just gangsters. I mean, they're just wrong.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned funding. How do you obtain funding for your work? How do you actually manage financially?
Well, I've got about 1,400 clients, Scott, that really believe in our cause, because I've got 2 Facebook pages. I've got the Royal Group, the network group, that is for gender-based violence. It's a women-only page where women can share their stories.
Right.
I've got about 33,000 women on there. So they are welcome to share their stories, and other women give them some support and love and light and everything there. And then I've got a special group called the Elite Group. Now, if you apply to be a member, now you don't pay to go onto a Facebook group. We don't pay for Facebook groups. But you are a client of the Royal Group, which is my company. It's a Pty Limited. So then they contribute monthly. So I've got about 1,400 and odd clients. So every month they pay their membership fee, and I started out asking for 20 Rand a month. So some decided, no, 20 Rand is too little. Some pay 100 Rand, some 500 Rand, some 200 Rand. Some can really only afford 20 Rand. So that's the people that ensure that I can do my work on a full-time basis. That's the people that can also claim our success stories, because I'm only the tool.
Right.
They make it possible for me to have the cell phone, have the petrol. If I rescue children in Rustenburg, it can easily cost me 1,000 Rand for the day. So they make sure that I have the funding to do this. And on this Elite Group, I give them the live videos. I go live from the scene so they can see that I'm there. I'm not wasting their money. I also make videos, and I hide the faces, obviously. But I do put the videos there, and I put the photos there, and we chat about the whole case as it happens. So it's to show them that I am doing my work. I'm not lying on the couch talking nonsense to everybody, so they can see where I go. And that's to say thank you, and just to show them. And I get wonderful support from, I've got a few men now that also joined, so I've got wonderful support from them. Look, it's not millions, and the government, I didn't even qualify through lockdown for any grants, because
you waste your time
my
with the
company
government.
I'm just wasting my time with that. So if these people don't contribute and on a monthly basis, then I won't have the money to do this, and I would have to go and find myself a job at the age of 51 again. But they believe in me. They see the work that we do. They see we always in the car, go live from the car, live at the scene. They see the videos where I interview the people, where we remove the children, the photos of the house inside, the reasons I removed the children. So, yeah, that's my way to show people that, and listen, I'm not wasting your money.
Yeah.
This is what you are paying for. That's
Now-
why you are a client of my company.
Yeah. How do people join?
Well, I've got all the info on the Victim Advocate page. They join. Look, we ask people a membership fee of 20 Rand a month. So some people say, please, Pixie, we'll pay you 240, not per year annual fee. We'll do it on a monthly basis. So whatever the amount, if you send a proof of payment to the bookkeeper, all the payments go to the bookkeeper, she'll send you the link to the elite group where you can see me rant, rave, and swear. People, please know that I do swear sometimes.
I can
Unfortunately,
understand
it's
why.
the work that I do.
Yeah. Now,
You
look,
know what, Scott?
I've got a page here which I've linked underneath the video, which is terry.turblanche.37. I think that's the wrong page, isn't it? For the advocate
That's
group.
the wrong page. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you after this live stream, can you just send me the link for the correct page?
I will.
And I'll put that below the video so people know how to join your
Thank you so
group.
much.
No, that's fine. Okay. So yeah, please continue.
Yeah, I forgot I lost my train.
That's okay. Let's just continue with the situation in South Africa. Why is South Africa the rape capital of the world?
It's the $1 million question. It's the $1 million question. I think look, rape is always a power. It's a power thing. It's to degrade, and it's not because they've got sexual urges. It's to degrade and
it's a power thing.
Yeah, it's a power thing. And I think some men think, even the men that I work with, they abuse their own daughters, and sometimes I feel like they feel it's their right. That they can use that little body and it's okay for them because they made that little body. Sometimes I do feel, and I tell my husband this as well, that I feel that some men think, and I see this more and more and more, it's okay to use the little girl. It's okay. She won't talk. She won't go to the police. The mother won't go to the police. It's the mother's boyfriend. He brings in some money. It's okay. Use the little girl's body. I really find this, Scott.
It's crazy.
It's this mentality that we're living in. It's this moral decay that South Africa has suffered since 1994, and since this it's a moral decay, absolute moral decay. And interesting thing, Scott, is I spoke to a magistrate the other day in a children's court, and we spoke about these heroin babies that I rescue. And she said, Pixie, every time that pregnant mother injects herself with heroin or meth or whatever they do, they change the chemical balance in the baby's brain. So if she shoots up 8 times a day, 8 times she changes that chemical balance in that baby's brain. Oh, wow. So this baby they never carry full term. For all of these months, this baby's brain is changed. So now the baby's born. The mother is not prepared to go to rehab and go through the withdrawals. No, she'll give it to the baby. And I tell them this. Look, I don't talk to them as we're talking here. I talk to them in a language that they do understand, and a language that I really speak fluently. So they change and they alter the baby's brain. So the baby is born, she goes through withdrawals. At the age of 8, 9, and 10, and this has been proven, the baby, the child, experience psychosis. They've got problems in school. They're also prone to drug abuse themselves. They are problem children. So she says, thank goodness that she'll be dead, old woman and dead by then. But we'll have a whole generation whose brains have been altered. And that's our future. That's the future children of this country that must run this country. And they'll either be drug addicts or criminal and delinquents. So where is this country going to?
Yeah.
They all have psychotic problems. They'll be schizophrenic. They'll, we'll have serial killers, serial rapists. Where are we going to, and when are we going to address this drug problem?
Yeah, that's
That's
shocking.
the million-dollar question. This is shocking. And it's been proven. It's not something that this magistrate made up. And she said, well, I'm an old woman, so thank goodness that I won't see this.
Yeah.
But we'll have a whole section of children, just delinquents running around causing havoc on drugs.
As
and
they
it's a
grow up.
vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
So we've got big problems, and it's not problems now. It's problems that in future that we don't even think about.
yeah, unfortunately, the ANC government don't think beyond today. That's a number one problem. Now,
Yeah.
what percentage of, let's just look at the white community. You see all sectors of the white community. From your perspective, you're actually going out to the squatter camps. You're seeing what's going on there. What percentage of the white community and the white families do you think are now drug dependent?
What I've also found is some of them move into the informal settlements and the squatter camps so that they can disappear from the eyes of welfare. And then secondly, they're all on drugs. I must tell you, if we look at the white community in informal settlements, I would say about roughly 95% of them are on drugs.
Wow.
It's the cheapest way of living. If you've got children, welfare won't go in there. And they fit in, and they steal, beg, borrow, and they live there. It's just one of those things. They have their children there, they give it to family, the babies to family, or either they give them up for adoption or they sell the babies. Babies are sold more in this country than anybody thinks or knows. And it's easy as pie. It's easy as pie.
Wow.
I have a baby today. I go to Home Affairs. I tell them, no, I had the baby at home. Please, can you register our baby? And that baby has been sold to someone else. These are the parents standing there at Home Affairs because you don't have the hospital papers. You register that baby on your name, give the mom and dad 10,000 rand, off you go with your baby. More babies are sold in this country than anybody knows.
Wow. And the thing that I find, the thing I find extraordinary is that your media in South Africa never touch this subject, do they?
No, they're very busy. You must understand the media in South Africa. They have to cover Cyril Ramaphosa. They have to cover something about Beke. And then Julius gets his fair share of media coverage. So there really isn't any space. And I have contacted mainstream newspapers. They don't want to cover my story, Scott. They're not interested. So I do get some when I've gone viral with something like this 4-month-old baby,
Yeah.
then the newspapers will all of a sudden start phoning. But the children that I saved 2 weeks ago, the heroin baby, doesn't make the news. The little boy that I rescued, 11 years old, his mother's boyfriend nearly killed him for the upteenth time, and he never makes the news. Nobody wrote about him in the newspaper. Although it went viral, I'm still looking for the father. We're still looking for the father. And by the way, on this case, I want to thank Child Protection Unit because they've really assisted me with this. But it never makes the newspapers because it's too busy. It's either sport, politics. Someone stole money again, SAA being bailed out. Yeah, it's things like that.
What it
Not
is,
social issues.
yeah, when you think about it, what they're doing is getting press reports sent to them, and they put them into a page and they post them up as news. The
Yeah.
investigative journalism in South Africa has completely disappeared. There are very
Yes,
few
that's
people
true.
left, and I think that's the problem, because the only investigative journalism taking place now in South Africa is investigating corruption. And
Yeah.
you're talking about a huge social problem that you're exposing right here on this live stream. Huge. And nothing is
Yes.
being said about it.
I've gotten some flack about my advocate page, and I said, well, newsflash, I don't work for you. So I don't work for the police. I don't work for welfare. I don't work for the Department of Justice. I am the manager. So you can't speak to the manager. You must speak to me. I'm the manager.
Right.
So I don't answer to anybody. So I will name and shame them. I will shout. I will go to prison for a child. They can lock me up. They can do whatever the hell they want. But when it comes to a child and they don't listen, and when I ask for help, I'll never call them because the child's got a runny nose. If I ask you for help, you don't give me help, or you fail a child in the system, what you are paid a salary for, then I will expose you on that page. Now, they have given me flack, and they have said, listen, you can't do this. And I told them, try to stop me. Try and stop me, I'll open up a new page. You will not stop me. It's time that South Africa and the world sees
Yeah.
what's going on around us. It's not only farm murders. I've got sympathy for the farm murders, and it's horrific, the farm murders, and that's a subject for another day. But nobody knows about the children. It happens in your own neighborhood, and you don't even know about it. You don't report it. You don't want to get involved. You don't even know you can go to welfare and open up an inquiry, and you can stay anonymous. You don't have to give your name. So people don't care. People have their own lives. They hear a child crying. It's somebody else's problem. And the media, they just cover, the corruption and some sport. And
Yeah.
then something Cyril said. But there's no space where I can show the world, this is my space, where I can show South Africa. Listen, this is what's happening in Pretoria. When you drive through Daspoort and Danville, this is what's happening there. This is what's happening in Pretoria West, Krugersdorp West, Burgershoop, Roodepoort, Squatcam, everywhere where you go. This is what's happening in South Africa. Open your eyes and see. Report child abuse. The child can't speak for itself.
Yeah.
Phone me. If you don't want someone to know that you are involved, I don't need friends. I've got enough friends. Really, I don't. I will investigate, and if need be, I will have those children removed. Preferably to a family, but if need be, we go into a place of safety, and the child goes into the system.
Well, the
Yeah,
media, the
we
media
need to get involved.
yeah, the media today have got absolutely no excuse for not covering this area, because on the internet, it's not like you have 32 pages, for the paper. They can have 1,000 pages. So all they've got to do is open up a page talking about the social issues going on in South Africa, which I've noticed is
Yeah.
completely missing right across the platforms. And I would make an appeal to one of the newspapers to actually open up a special section on the social situation in South Africa, which they can easily do.
Definitely.
They can very easily do that. Now, you mentioned Facebook. Have you had problems with Facebook when it comes to like censorship or threats to take your page down?
No, I haven't. No, Facebook. No, I haven't. Look, I won't go. You've got certain laws in the Children's Act,
Yeah.
and I won't go out of those laws. I have to uphold the laws, which I believe in. So I'll protect the children. But I can show the dirty house. I can show the heroin needle. I can show things like that. So I haven't, luckily, thank goodness, not had any problems with Facebook. Well, that page is only a month old,
Yeah.
and I think we're standing on 27,000. So it's only been a month that I've really shown South Africa what's going on. And let's see, I hope no one reports the page. If they do, it's only family of children I've rescued that are very upset with me. And you know what, that's also... I find that family, they go onto the posts and they say, well, this woman is lying. And I think to myself, okay, I didn't even say half of this stuff that I wanted to say on here. And if people go onto the elite group, if you become a client of mine, you can see all the proof on the elite group. So I leave the comments there. I want the public to give them a hiding on social media, where they now are saying, yeah, but this is not a true story and this is not all the facts. I was there. I've got a video. I've got all the proof.
Yeah.
So get a hiding there, because you never stepped in. You knew about the drug abuse for years. You knew that the children ate rotten food. You knew that suspected that the girls were being raped, and you never did a single thing before I got there.
Yeah.
And that goes for welfare as well.
Yeah.
This specific case of with the children, the 2 girls that were raped, that same report landed on welfare's desk 7 times, Scott.
Wow.
7 people reported that case. It took me to drive 120 kilometers to Rustenburg to go and rescue those kids. Their own welfare, about 4 or 5 blocks from that house, never did anything.
Yeah. They're just getting a salary. It's like a lot of the nurses today in the public hospitals. They do absolutely nothing but just pick up their salaries. Now, I've got a bunch of questions here that I'm going to put to you, and I've still got some questions I want to ask you as well. But let's go through some of these questions, and we'll start off with Viking Boer, who says, please ask our beautiful lady why she calls herself Pixie.
You know what, my haircut is a pixie style, and some people say I look like the singer Pink. So I've had people taking photos with me. That was a few years ago. So I decided to use create this persona, Pixie Pink. So it's a pixie haircut, and people always said, yes, you look like Pink. Can we have a pic with you? So that's actually where it started off.
Okay.
I never knew this would grow so big.
Yeah. Well, what you're doing is amazing work. It's God's work.
Thank you so much.
Mike Overholzer asks, where are the councillors and churches?
The churches are there. The churches don't get involved in this side of my work. So the churches help with the elderly, and they help with food parcels. So I do ask churches when I know, Scott, I'll never remove children, if I walk into the house and there's no drugs, and you can see it's poverty. Dad lost his job, mom lost her job, and they need some food and clothes. Then I go to the church and I ask them for help, and NPOs as well. So the churches are there, but they're also, people don't go to church anymore in South Africa. We're busy shopping on Sunday mornings instead of going to church and giving our little contribution to the church.
That's
So,
sad.
it's sad. So churches are also closing down, Scott.
Oh, no.
A lot of churches have closed down, and that's why the welfare is also pulled out. So the churches are there, but now they also don't have the funds, and they also don't receive funds from government.
Yeah.
We must also bear that in mind.
It's a gangster state, that's for sure. Now,
It is. It is.
Fiona Timms has asked, please ask Pixie about babies and infants being sold for witchcraft or muti.
No. You know what? I do know that children, small children, are sold for muti. I do know that. I come from a long line of police officers. So my mom, I started in Soweto in the police. So my mom was stationed in Soweto police for 25 years. And they often have cases where they take little children and they use them for muti. They'll cut off the ears, cut off their little noses, their lips, their thumbs, and then genitalia. But we don't find that in our white community as much. So the children being sold in our community is for drug money. 5,000 Rand for a drug dealer or 10,000 Rand for a meth mom is a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's why our children are sold. Yeah.
What happens to a child that's sold?
Well, usually they sell the child to parents who can't have children. So,
okay.
Yeah. But, it is illegal, and we never know what happens to those children. It's child trafficking. That's what it is. Yeah. You must go through a process in the children's court, adoption, and there's a process to follow. But it's easy. I understand, Scott, if a mom really wants a baby and she can't have a baby, the pain that she goes through. I do understand that, and I do sympathize. And adoption is very difficult. Sorry. So I do understand if they approach someone who is pregnant and is a drug addict and she's willing to sell their children. But if they catch you, then you can go to obviously go to jail. You can go to prison. It's not the way to go. Don't go that way. Do it the legal way. That's what I always ask the people. Do it the legal way.
Well,
Sorry.
The other problem, of course, is that if the mother is a drug addict and taking heroin, as you said, the brain is going to be out of sync. So you're actually buying a damaged child, which is going to be growing up in your family.
First of all, the baby is born, and a week, 2-3 days after the baby is born, the baby will need oxygen. That baby will scream for at least 3 weeks. It can go up to 6 months. The baby will scream day and night, and they make a specific sound. And that baby needs either morphine or methadone, given by a doctor that's treating the child. The child can have a cot death because they stop breathing. So the chances you take, and how are you going to explain that if your baby has a cot death?
Yeah.
If you have this meth baby and you need this baby to be treated, how are you going to explain this to hospital? Because the baby's, you never told your medical aid that you were pregnant. So how are you going to explain the whole thing? Are you going to try and get the baby through all the withdrawals yourself, and you're not a medical person? That baby can die. You'll get to the cot and the baby died a cot death. They stop breathing. They need oxygen. They need specialized care. So it's a risk, and you also don't know if it's a homeless, if the father is a homeless person, you don't know the baby's blood type. There's a whole lot of things that people must think about before they buy babies. That baby can have a blood group that you don't even know. When the child gets injured and the child can get the wrong type of blood. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. Don't buy babies on the black market. Please don't assist moms to have more and more and more babies so that she can make money. It's a money-making scheme for these addicts.
That's crazy.
Wow. It's crazy, and no word of a lie. I can give you the proof of this. It's a money-making scheme. 10,000 rand for a heroin mother. It sounds like $1 million.
But to give your baby away like that is just shocking.
Well, they don't even look after the babies, Scott. They don't look after the babies. I know moms leave their babies with people, just look after the baby. She never comes back. I heard about a mom this week that threw a baby down the embankment there in Pretoria, and the baby's got head injuries because she doesn't want the baby. So she had the baby. They even have the baby in the veld. I had 2 heroin addicts. She had 3 children in the veld. So they actually just go into the veld, have the baby, and she went to a police station in Pretoria. She went in, and obviously the police person behind the counter didn't know of any better, and she completed a sworn affidavit. I don't want this baby anymore. I'm giving it to this person. He stamped it. She took the baby. She gave it to the mom. She said, okay, there's your baby. Off you go. Not allowed. It's child trafficking.
Wow.
Human trafficking.
Wow.
You can't do it. And people buy the babies. I understand why. I understand that a mom needs a little baby and wants a baby, and she can't have childless parents, but childless people, but that's not the way to go. Yeah. You're actually feeding the black market.
Now, yeah. Viking Boer has asked, I just think how difficult it must be for advocate Pixie Pink to sleep at night with all these things that she must face. Does she not get nightmares?
I do get nightmares sometimes. Some cases keep me awake. You know, Scott, sometimes I don't get, when I'm out on cases with my husband, I don't really get a chance to answer the WhatsApps. So some mornings, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I'll answer WhatsApps and I won't realize what the time is. So yeah. Some days I sleep 3 hours, 4 hours. Some cases really bother me. I'm only human. I'm not a supernatural being, all tough, and I've got a heart. I'm a mom. Yeah. I'm a mom, and I love kids. So some cases really, you know, I worry about some children. Others I worry, and then I get a phone call, a voice note. Oh, we love you, Tiny Pixie. And then, okay, it's okay. I can stop worrying about that child.
Yeah. Now, you have an extraordinary success rate when you actually take a case to court, don't you? I think you have 100% success rate.
100% success rate, yes.
That's quite extraordinary. Now, that clearly indicates that you know what you're doing, that you give good advice, and you do your research before you actually take something for the court. Is there something you'd like to advice you'd like to give people who might face a similar type of situation in taking a case like this to court?
It's very difficult for ordinary people to take a case to court, Scott. You know, the legal aspects, you must really know what you are doing. So if you have any grandmothers or family members who have family members who are drug addicts and they have children and the children are neglected, and just because the parents use drugs, the children must be removed. They can't look after children if they're full of meth and heroin. So I would suggest that they go and speak to their nearest children's court. The children's magistrates are all super people. They are really the people that they don't sit there and they look at you like, you're a suspect in a case. They really listen. And the clerks of the courts also assist. So they will assist you to complete some forms that you might need, a form 2 or this form or that form. So if you approach them and you say, listen, we've got these kids and mom and dad on drugs, they will also test the mom and dad. I do the testing myself. So they will test the mom and dad. They will remove the children. They will get welfare involved because the magistrate tells the Department of Social Development, who sits at court, this is your case, sort the case. I'm remanding this for 3 months, and then you must come back and tell me what kind of investigation you've done. So they hold them accountable. And I would suggest that people must go to court, go to welfare. Phone the police if you know about physical abuse, if you know about sexual abuse. You'll be surprised how many little girls and boys, and I must tell you this as well, Scott. Most girls, the rape and molestation of girls are reported. Most boys, I've only had 2 boys. Because boys never talk. They don't. And it's a huge problem because boys are also sexually abused. But it's a man thing. It's an extremely difficult thing for a little boy to say, listen, someone has molested me. So if you know of any child that is being abused, molested, or anything, go to your nearest police station. Don't take the child to a psychologist. Don't take the child for play therapy. Please take the child to the police. You go to the police, you open up a case. A J88 must be done in hospital by the district surgeon. Then the police process will start. Ask to go to the nearest child protection unit, the people that are really trained to work with these cases. Sorry, my phone keeps going off.
That's okay.
So please do that. Do not take a child to a psychologist when that child reports that someone has been molesting me. It's the wrong way. Contamination of that case. Please go to the police station. If you're a woman and you are raped, you don't go to a psychologist. You report it to the police station. You report it to also the FCS. We call it the Child Protection Unit, but it's also for adult women who've been raped and abused. So go to the police, open up a case, take your child. They will assess the child. They will get the statement from the child. Don't go about it the wrong way. Some people immediately phone a friend and they get the child in for play therapy. It's contamination of that case. Go to the police. Always go to the police.
Right.
Don't go and report it to welfare. Report it to the police. Someone reports a child rape or molestation to me, I will open up the case because I'm obliged to do it. That's my work. So a mom can't phone me and say, listen, my child was raped, but I don't think I want to open up a case. No, you will open up a case, or I will.
Right.
That's my duty.
Yeah. Okay, now Wolfie's asked, I have family who are going to immigrate for the safety of their little girl because of everything that's happening to children. My heart is broken. So it's not really a question, it's a statement.
I agree. I fully agree. Girl children are not safe in this country. I'm sad to say. Girl children aren't. Friends, the wrong friends, schools, drugs in schools. I don't think I can name one school that where they don't. Oh goodness, my TV went on. Ingo? So jy gaan die TV af. Oh goodness, let me just turn
Yeah,
this
just go ahead.
TV off.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about this.
Okay, I'm just
It
checking
was
the
muted.
side chat. No,
Sorry.
that's fine. Okay.
Um,
Yeah, it's a
I
yeah.
can't even think about a school that doesn't have drugs, in the school. So that's where children. I'm just going to turn this off. Goodness, this is so. This is yes. Just turn this off, love, please. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's only
gone.
you listen to Sky News now. So
Okay.
I can't even think about a high school, some even primary schools, they don't have drugs. So girl children aren't safe. Our boys aren't safe.
Yeah.
You've got Nigerians moving into neighborhoods, children, wrong friends, getting involved in things that they shouldn't be. You've got parents who really don't care. And I'm not talking about the poor now. I'm talking about affluent families. I will also, if I had the opportunity, and I'm now really being honest, I would also immigrate with my children. I would.
Yeah. Now,
I would.
Oki Stratum has said, please ask Pixie if South African welfare were competent, it would make a difference. Well, I guess it would make a huge difference, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if they and the police start working, really working and doing their jobs and earning the salaries they get, then things will really look, things will get better. This is not an overnight solution. There's no overnight solution for this thing because we do have the Congolese, we do have the Nigerians, we do have the people are really out there for the drugs and the human trafficking and the prostitution and and all of that. So this is not a simple solution and it's not an overnight solution. But as soon as those organizations start working for a change, after about 15 years or 20 years doing nothing, then it will get better. But we need everyone on board. We also asked for a meeting with one of the cluster commanders in Pretoria now. We spoke about it last week with welfare, where we are going to ask them to clamp down on these drug houses. We must start somewhere. We can't all throw our hands in the air and say, okay, Pixie will go fetch all the children. She'll rescue all the children. I don't want to remove children. They need their mothers and they need their fathers, but they need them to be contributing members of the community and to look after their children. But it's not, I can't go and fetch all the children. We need the police and we need the welfare on board.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Well, we
need law and order, Scott. We need law and order.
Exactly. I was about to say, they need to fix the problem, not just pick up the pieces after the problem's happened, which is what you're doing. That's the wrong way around, if I can put it that way.
Yeah, now, it is.
Tell me about the stumbling blocks that you face when you do your work.
Stumbling blocks are scenes where I stand for 7 hours and I can't get hold of any welfare organization. Scott, sometimes I make more than 28 phone calls, and some scenes can take me up to 7 hours to remove children, to safeguard the children. So I've got a lot of stumbling blocks, and some welfare organizations, they don't like me moving into their areas because, I go in with a bang. I go in with a bang. So they sometimes they don't like me in their areas because they know I call them out on their BS. I do.
Right.
And I will save the children. So yeah, that's a stumbling block. And then I also get the police that some tell me this is not our mandate. The policemen on station level, I'm not talking about child protection unit, they don't know anything about the children's law. So I can't use them. Um, the courts mainly they do their job. You know, you've got your magistrate, and you present your case to him, and you know from there on it goes on. But welfare putting children back to where they're not supposed to, because they must reunite the family. This is a thing they've got in their minds that is about 50 years old when welfare started, to reunite families. You cannot reunite children that were raped with a mother and father that are meth addicts. A meth addict or a heroin addict, they don't rehabilitate within a month or two. They really need a year.
Yeah.
So I've got a problem with welfare reuniting families when that mother and father are still not rehabilitated a year or two. Give them a year or two and see where they are, and then introduce them back and the children back to the family. But don't tell me after 3 months that the children must go back to their parents. If I know both parents are addicts and 2 children were raped, and this nearly happened this week.
Oh no, it's just shocking. Now,
Yeah.
Carry on.
It's easier to reunite a family than to investigate and do follow-ups on the case.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, Viking Boer has asked, maybe off topic, but what does Pixie think about Muslim men who can marry young girls, even as old as 3 months?
I'm not going to swear. I told my husband, I promised him I'm not going to swear. It's shocking. It's unacceptable. It's shocking. It's something I must actually say no comment. That's how far I'll go. No comment. I really can't comment on that. I think they'll lock me up in South Africa.
Yeah, okay.
Really. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. You know, Scott, I want to tell you this. I don't even endorse beauty competitions for children. I don't. I don't endorse any child having a Facebook account. I don't endorse arranged marriages. I really,
Yeah.
I don't. Let's not go there with me.
Okay. Now,
let's rather not.
We've talked about all the problems and the issues that South Africa's faced, and clearly there's a huge problem in this area that the media are not covering, sadly. Can you give us some examples of recent successes that you've had?
Oh yes, I've got a lot. I rescued the little boy of 11 and his sister of 3. They're now in a place of safety, and they've all they've got new foster parents. So we are busy, the welfare is busy introducing them to their new families. He's been severely abused. He's got a problem with his eyes. He's got severe eye movement. He's high functioning. He's got high functioning autism, but he is extremely intelligent. So, with all the beatings on his head with the pipe that the mother's boyfriend gave him, his eyes moving around like this. And when we found him, his eyes couldn't, his eyes went like this. They kept on moving. And now he's much better. His eyes are better. We've got him a loving home, and we're introducing him there. We went the other day, he had a swim. He taught himself to swim within a half an hour. So he's a child again. He was the primary caregiver, meaning he had to go beg for food. He was the one that was beaten. His mother aborted her. She was pregnant when we rescued him and his sister. So she aborted that baby. And the little sister of 3, she also has a new foster parent. So I've got a lot of contact with this boy because I think the trauma bonded. We've got that trauma bond. And before anyone can do anything, he says, phone Auntie Pixie, a video caller, I want to speak to her. And the little bugger broke his bed last week, so I had to source a new bed for him. But he's only 11, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
So for the first time in his life, he is not fearing for his life. He doesn't have to beg for food. He's got a clean bed. He's got a nice haircut. He's got people who loves him, and I'm sure he's going to be a huge success, and he's going to make a success of his life. His little sister, 3 years old, she's got her new family. She's got a sister that's almost the same age. So that's wonderful. That's what I want to see, Scott. I want to see children given an opportunity to become the best they can be, a second chance in life.
Right.
He's only known the bad. You know, he was 5 years old when he protected his 1-year-old brother, who was also removed by welfare. So he was 5 when he protected his 1-year-old. It was his half brother. That baby was removed by welfare. This child was failed by welfare and given back to his mother, only to be assaulted. His arm was broken over the head, his body. I've got pictures on the advocate group, so on the advocate page, so people can go and have a look there. That's a success, Scott. He'll have a better life, a second chance. He can be a child. Then I've got the heroine babies. They're both doing very well. I've got foster parents that's in the family. We always try and keep children in the family. Some families, it's just not possible. But some families, you do have family members. So both these heroine babies are with family, and they're doing very well. I've got the 3 other children that are also placed in foster with their uncle and aunt. They don't have children, so they're doing very well. I received their report cards this afternoon, and their photos. So that's a success story.
Fantastic.
I want to see that. I don't want to rescue children and put them in a system and forget about them.
Yeah.
I'm not personally involved always, but I do keep track of them. And if it's a family placement, then I do get photos and I get voice notes. I've got voice notes from 3-year-olds that say, we love you. That's a success, Scott. That's a child given a second chance in life that would never have had that. I've got a boy, 15, who was a bit of a problem, and it wasn't only teenage things. So I went out. He left home and he was placed into foster care with strangers, and things didn't go well there. So he went home and he actually assaulted his mom. And his mom made contact, and I said, okay, well, I'll be there this afternoon. And we went there, and I had a chat with him, with a good chat. I nearly launched over the table, and I really grabbed him by the throat, and I said, listen, this is how things are going to work. He's my biggest success. He wants to become a policeman. He stopped the drugs. He stopped his nonsense. His mom, I see him quite regularly when we go to Pretoria. So he's another success. He stopped his nonsense.
Yeah.
He realized that there's more to life than the drugs and trying to be a gangster. He must finish his school. So I got him back into school. That is what we need, Scott.
Yeah.
Not only take a child, put the child in a place of safety or children's home. You know, Scott, we don't have any orphanages anymore because all the children in the children's homes have parents that don't want them and can't provide for them and don't want to provide for them.
Wow,
we don't
crazy.
have orphanages. We don't have orphans. We only have children whose parents don't care.
Yeah. Now, in this moment, photography has asked, Can Pixie give us an update on the 4-month-old baby, how he's doing and how the case is going?
So the 4-month-old baby is still in ICU. He's on a respirator and he's got pipes in his nose. His head is very swollen. Both legs up in the air because the femur was broken. But they also tell me that it might be his pancreas that was hurt. He's got bruises on his face, his mouth. The mom said the father stuck his whole hand into the baby's mouth and he was torn. His mouth was torn. I think they shaved his hair, as far as I can see on the video. So I'm actually waiting for the second in command of the Child Protection Unit to give me feedback, because word has it that the father was let out on bail yesterday.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah.
I'm going to go back with this story. The colonel hasn't phoned me back. I spoke to him yesterday and I spoke to him this morning. And the charge was assault common. And that child can really, he's fighting for his life, so it's critical. Which means it's actually attempted murder or assault GBH. But because he's only 4 months old, it should be attempted murder. So the drug addict, meth-induced father that also phoned from prison because another inmate had a cell phone, was let out on bail. I haven't told the community this yet. I wanted the colonel to give me some feedback on this before I went on to tell everybody that he was let out on bail.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
He should have, because as I remember, Cyril Ramaphosa and Mbeki Cele said that they won't receive bail. He doesn't have an address, he doesn't have a work, he's a meth addict, piece of shit. That's what he is. I'm sorry, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
so, he was let out. He was let out on bail.
Now, Mike Overholzer asks, please ask Pixie if any reported case to the police has had a successful outcome, and if not, why not? They get abused in the police station and nothing happens.
They get abused in the police station?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. And nothing happens.
I don't really get that they are abused in the police station. The cases that we report, I open up criminal cases myself, like against this little 11-year-old's mother. I opened criminal cases because she never protected her child. She lied to the police. Every time a case was opened, she would go to the police and say, he's a problem child and he's lying, please close the case. So they've reopened all the cases and she'll be arrested next week. And I'll be with when she's arrested. Nothing will give me greater pleasure. But the police, as soon as the case goes to the Child Protection Unit, now we must look at this. The police investigate, and the cases are given to the justice system. So that's the courts. The police can't be responsible for everything that the justice system decides on. So if a case takes longer, it's sometimes because the court is busy and so many cases have been remanded due to COVID and investigations not being done by the police. So you've got these two entities. They don't work together always. They sometimes work against each other. So most of the cases that we report, I don't always get feedback, but I do testify. So that gives me, a sense of what happens. So I will testify in this one. I will testify in the one in Rustenburg. I will testify here. I do also testify in the children's courts. So that's my main space where I do my thing is in the children's court.
Right. All right. Well, look, I've just got one final question to ask you, Pixie, and I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I just totally admire you and your husband for what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And that final question is, look, you are so involved in this specific area when it comes to gender-based violence and abuse of children. What are the solutions for South Africa to stop what's going on?
You know, the high unemployment rate, morals, people don't have morals anymore. The drug situation. The solution will be for every government entity and organization to pull their fingers out of their backsides and to start earning the money that they receive every month. If we can get the police to do their job, the justice system to do their job, welfare to do their job, things will really go better. If we get the community to stand up, claim your street back, get involved, report cases. Next year, when I launch the Claim Your Street Back project, I want the community to come together and say, okay, we've got all the addresses of the drug houses. We're going to ask the police, and we're going to go viral with this. The police must act, and they must raid the drug houses. They must obtain all the warrants that they need, because that's also another excuse. So that's the solution. Let's start on ground level. And the organizations must pull their fingers and do the work that they are paid for. And we must all take hands, and we must find a solution. The solution will be to arrest and deport the Nigerians found dealing in drugs, human trafficking. We must deport them back to where they come from. They must go back to Nigeria. And this is not xenophobic. Please don't take this as xenophobic. But that's the people who are the biggest drug sellers and the traffickers and the sexual exploitation. They're turning our children into whores. That's what they're doing. They're turning our children into prostitutes. So they must be sent back to where they come from. And then we must start to clean up our areas. We must claim back our areas. We must stand up for. I can't only go to work and come home and do my little thing, and then the next morning go to work and come home and do my thing and don't care about the area around me. I don't care about my neighbors. I don't care if there is a drug house and a brothel opening in my area. Report that. But the police must act on that. Yeah. There's no use reporting, and the police drive in and 500 lekker. They take the money and they drive away. It can't work. We must hold them accountable. And we must name and shame. I'm going to name and shame. Yeah, I'm going to name and shame them. I want to say the shit out of them, and I am going to. Good. I'm going to name and shame them. If it takes me to name and shame them, to start acting on this, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I've got videos I put up where I call it "Let's Make Him Famous," and you get a policeman. You get a policeman misbehaving, and put it up, then you get thousands of people looking at it.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that as well. I've done that as well, and I'll keep on doing this. We must get together. The police must do their work. Home Affairs must do their work. We need Home Affairs officers to check all the asylum papers, to check all the permits, if they've got work permits or whatever. We need Home Affairs to work with us as well. Yeah. We need the police, we need the welfare, we need the general public, and we need other organizations to also get involved. We must prevent before this happens. There's no use for me to rescue 2 children who have already been raped or used to pay for their mom's drug abuse. Yeah. We need to prevent this before it happens. For us not to have screwed up adults, we need to prevent this. And we can't prevent this if we all don't work together. It's as easy as that.
Yeah. Now, Black Aura says Scott, I'm a Safa that lives in Finland now, and I have 2 girls. I'm grateful I live here. I have more to say, but space won't allow. Dankie Terry-Ann vir wat jy doen. Please keep on. Okay,
Thanks a lot.
I'm going to wrap up this discussion, guys. We've been going for 2 hours, and I
Oh,
find
I didn't even realize.
it's amazing how time flies when you're getting right into a subject. But I just want to say thank you so much, Pixie. It's been a really eye-opening conversation, and we're getting it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Now, is there something you'd like to say in closing to everybody watching this video now, or who might watch it later?
If you're one of my clients, I want to really thank you. Even if you just comment on my advocate page, thank you for your support, and thank you for all the messages. Thank you for the contributions, because without that we can't do our work. And please keep on sharing our stories on the page. I need people to know about this. We need to create awareness, and I can't do it without the public support. So even if you are not a client, please just hit that share button and let people see what's going on. Talk to people about my page. I think this can also make a nice discussion around the braai. And tell people about me, and let them see for themselves. At least I've got something that I can show them. So it's not just me talking. And you see on the advocate group, there's a group that you can go to where you can actually see what I do. And please join my page. If you want to become a contributor, please do that. We need that. And just help me report police who don't do their work, report welfare who don't do their work, and ask for assistance. I'll eventually get to you 400 emails and 400 WhatsApps, sometimes more. I'll eventually get to you, and if I only can give you a one-liner and just give you some support or some advice, I'll also do that for you.
Fantastic. Now, I noticed your royalgroup.co.za page is still being developed.
Construct.
When will it be up?
It will be up ASAP. There was the issue with the WordPress. I'm not an IT fundi.
Yeah.
So there was the issue with the WordPress. So they're fixing that for me. That will be up. It was up, and then I asked them to change it for me. So it's under construction, but they'll get that up and running ASAP.
Right. Now, your advocate Facebook page, if you can just send me that link in Skype.
I will do.
And what I'll do is I will put that underneath this video in the description. So anybody who wants to join your Facebook page and become a member, that's how they can do it.
Yes. Yes. I thank you so much, Scott, and thank you for the opportunity to actually speak to the world. It's the first time I had the opportunity, and thank you for taking the time to listen to my story and the cases that we're doing, and to assist me to create awareness, because that's what I need. I need people to assist me to create awareness so that people can know about this and know that it must be reported and how they can report this. I'm also going to start a bit more educating more on the advocate group. I'm going to just get some time, but I'll get there.
Right.
But thank you for the opportunity tonight. I really appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome. And once again, thanks to Marlena, who's set this up.
Yes.
And Marlena has sent you Anna-Rie's cell number. That's a lady from Go Purple. Lovely lady, absolutely a real dynamo like yourself. And then Ray is going to be contacting you as well. He's the guy down in Durban, and I'm sure there'll be other people who would like to sort of make contact with you. If you'd like to make contact with Pixie, just send me an email, and I will get that email to, or get your contact details to Pixie. And what I'd ask you to do, if you're going to do that, is just put a single little paragraph as to why you want to speak to Pixie, so she knows what it's all about, and include in there your cell phone number as well, so that she can get back to you. All right. Okay. To the moderators, thanks, guys. You, as always, have done a fantastic job keeping the side chat under control. I saw a couple of people were being blocked for saying naughty things, but we always get trolls here, don't we? And for
I can't
those,
see the comments. I'll have to go and look afterwards.
yeah, I'll send you. Well, you've got the link, so you can have a look. But
Yeah.
it takes about half an hour for the video to settle, if I can put it that way, because YouTube has to
Yes.
process it. But yeah, for those who've been watching, thank you for joining us. I hope you've learnt as much as I have from listening to Pixie and the remarkable work she's doing. She really is an angel, and her
you
and her
so
husband
much.
are doing fantastic work. All right.
Thanks. Okay.
Once again, thanks, Pixie, and look, I'm sure we'll be chatting again in the future. Please take care.
Definitely. You too, Scott. And thank you, everyone. And thank you for the opportunity. And love and light to everyone.
Okay, take care. Bye for now.
Keep safe. Thanks.
Bye for now,
Bye.
guys. I'm going to leave the side chat open for a few minutes, just so that you can say your goodbyes to each other.